My name is Andy Geeter. I'm Vice President of Enrollment Management at Andrew College. Today we're going to talk about the basics of financial aid and a little bit about some of the programs that we offer at Andrew College. First, what is financial aid? Financial aid is money to help pay for college, maybe in the form of grants, scholarships, work study, or loans. Sources of financial aid. Financial aid may come from a number of different sources, including the federal government, state government, the institution itself, and also outside scholarships. Outside scholarships may be from anything from a Kiwanis club to a place where your parents are employed or a special civic organization. A lot of times with outside scholarships, it's a great thing to check with your parent's employer and also with the guidance counselor at your high school. Now, first question would be, are you going to be eligible for financial aid? Well, there are certain initial financial aid eligibility standards that you have to meet. First, you have to be a United States citizen or a permanent resident. You have to be enrolled in a degree or certificate program that's eligible to receive financial assistance. You must possess a valid Social Security number, and if you're a male between the ages of 18 to 25, you must be registered with the Selective Service. In Georgia, all of these things apply, as well as the following: legal residency within the state of Georgia, full-time enrollment, and then also compliance with the Georgia Drug-Free Post-Secondary Act of 1990. At Andrew College, we award financial aid not only to U.S. citizens and permanent residents, but also we'll look at our institutional dollars for international students as well. We don't consider status in country when we award institutional financial aid. So in other words, international students may be eligible for financial aid from Andrew College. Now, I'm going to talk about some financial aid terms that you may have heard but may not quite understand, or if you haven't heard them, you will soon. The FAFSA. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Now, you can fill out the FAFSA anytime after January 1st of the year you're going to be attending college. So for example, if you're going to be starting college in the fall of 2016, you would start to fill out the FAFSA anytime after January the 1st of 2016. Be careful though, because that rule is going to change next year, and you'll be able to start filling out your FAFSA as early as October. Another term you hear is Estimated Family Contribution, or EFC. EFC is the amount of money that the federal government says you can afford to help send your child to college. So, what the FAFSA does is take the information that you put into it, and it determines your estimated family contribution. Cost of attendance, or COA. There are two different ways that we figure COA. One is a cost of attendance total. That takes into account room, board, tuition, books, travel, and living expenses. There's also the cost of attendance direct, and that is typically just the cost of room, board, and tuition. Now, to determine your financial need, you take the cost of attendance, or the COA, and subtract out the estimated family contribution, or the EFC. What Andrew and other schools will do is take that information to build a financial aid package for you. A financial aid package may consist of institutional aid, which may be grants or maybe scholarships, federal aid if you qualify for it, state aid if you qualify for it, loans, subsidized, unsubsidized Stafford loan programs, and in addition, if you fill out the paperwork and request it, a PLUS loan. So loans, scholarships, and grants may be all put together to form your financial package. As I mentioned a minute ago, you complete the FAFSA in order to give the government enough information where they can let you know what your EFC is, the estimated family contribution. The other thing the FAFSA does is determine whether or not a student will qualify for a Pell Grant. And a Pell Grant typically is given to students who have high financial need. So a high financial need usually correlates with a very low estimated family contribution, or EFC. Now, looking at some of the federal aid programs. For 2015-2016, the federal Pell Grant is awarded up to $5,775 per year. Also, federal work-study program at Andrew College is awarded up to $796 per year. However, the amount of work-study money differs from school to school. So, if you're considering another school besides Andrew, you'll want to check with the financial aid office if you're eligible for work-study to see how much the work-study award is for that college. There's also direct, subsidized, and unsubsidized Stafford loan programs. A subsidized Stafford loan is one that you can receive as a student, and that money, if it's subsidized, not only can you defer payments until after you graduate or have been out of school for 6 months, but the government pays the interest on that loan while you're in school. With an unsubsidized Stafford, you can also defer payment until after you've graduated or out of school for 6 months. However, the interest does start to accrue. The total for incoming freshmen for this year for the Stafford subsidized and unsubsidized loan is capped at $5,500. The cap for those loans does go up as students have more and more credit hours in college. Also, as I mentioned a few moments ago, the Federal PLUS Loan Program, the parent loan to undergraduate students. The PLUS loan can be taken out for any amount of money up to the total cost of attendance minus other aid that the student is receiving. Now, as with the Stafford loans, you can either do monthly payments or you can defer payments until the student is graduated or is out of school for 6 months. However, interest is not deferred, it does continue to accrue, and the PLUS loan, unlike the Stafford loan, is taken out in the parent's name and there is a credit check. If a student applies for, or a family applies for a PLUS loan and is denied a PLUS loan, then the student is able to access up to an additional $4,000 in unsubsidized Stafford loan. In the state of Georgia, there are several grant programs available to students. The highest scholarship is known as the Zell Miller Scholarship. For a student at a private college who has at least a 3.7 GPA coming out of high school with at least 1,200 on the SAT in the critical reading and math, or a 26 or higher ACT, it pays $4,348 per year. For a student who is HOPE eligible, that is, they have a 3.0 or higher GPA coming out of high school, HOPE pays $3,936 per year. Determination for freshman students for the HOPE and the Zell Miller Scholarship are made by the Georgia Student Finance Commission. They are not made at the institution. So, we may, when we calculate your GPA, come up with a GPA that would put you into the category of a Zell Miller or a HOPE scholarship. However, that final determination is made by the Georgia Student Finance Commission. Zell Miller and HOPE scholarships do differ whether you go to a private college or a public college. The award amounts I gave you are for a private college. If you're attending a public college, you need to check with that college as far as the amounts that it will pay. Now, also, if you're attending a private college, like Andrew, and you're a state resident, you're eligible for a $900 Georgia Tuition Equalization Grant. In addition to that, there is a low-interest loan program available to Georgia students as well, called the Student Access Loan, or the SAL loan. To find out more information about that, you can go to Georgia College 411. As far as institutional aid programs at Andrew College, at Andrew, we award several full scholarships every year through a scholarship competition known as the Pitt Scholarship Competition. That occurs in March. In order to qualify for the Pitt Scholarship, a student needs to have at least a 3.0 GPA, at least a 19 on the ACT, or 1,000 or better on the SAT. Though sometimes we'll consider students as low as 920 on the SAT, but they must have at least a 460 verbal, 460 critical reading, it used to be verbal, and a 460 on the math portion. Students will come here and compete for those scholarships. As a result, we'll award 2 full scholarships, plus also a number of other scholarships throughout the course of that competition. Another scholarship we may award there is the Andrew Serves Scholarship. Andrew Serves is the second highest scholarship we offer here at Andrew College. This year it's for $8,500 per year. Students not only participate in leadership activities, but also do community service work, both at the college and in town. In addition to those scholarships, Andrew does award partial academic scholarships. We award athletic scholarships in all of our sports. We award departmental scholarships for athletic training, for Andrew College Digital Network, ACDN, and also starting this fall in regenerative agriculture. We offer partial scholarships in theater, art, and music as well. In addition, we do offer some need-based grants known as Tiger Grants, and also for students who are involved in their church who happen to be United Methodist. As a United Methodist college, the school awards a number of United Methodist scholarships each year. Now, in terms of qualifying for those scholarships, a student would need to make sure that they've applied for admission and been accepted. If they're interested in athletic scholarship, they do need to make sure that they are in contact with a coach, because the coach will make the final determination as far as scholarships. Typically, if a student is interested in art, music, or theater, they will need to contact the professor in those areas. Usually, there is either some sort of interview process or portfolio presentation that will need to occur before that scholarship is given. With all of our scholarships, with the exception of the United Methodist scholarships, you may be eligible for a number of scholarships, but you can only receive one scholarship. So for example, if you are offered both an athletic scholarship and a theater scholarship, you would need to select one or the other and let us know which one you would like to accept. Now, on our website, under the financial aid section, you'll find a net price calculator. You can fill out some information on the net price calculator, and we'll give you an idea as far as the institutional aid and what your cost would be to attend Andrew College. Please keep in mind, this is only an estimate. It does not replace completing the FAFSA, and it should not be taken as a firm award. It is just to give you an idea as to costs. Now, I mentioned earlier outside scholarships. A lot of outside scholarships are fairly small. A lot of them run from $500 to $1,000. However, depending upon your school and depending upon the scholarship, you may be able to receive one or more scholarships. Talk with your high school guidance counselor. Typically starting about January or February your senior year, you will note a good number of these scholarship awards will come into the counselor's office. So make sure you're checking with your counselor about these possible awards. A lot of them will require you to write an essay, maybe sit for an interview, but again, in a lot of cases you can be eligible for multiple scholarships. Do again, check with your employer if you're working about scholarship opportunities. Have your parents check with their employers about scholarship opportunities. If they belong to any civic organizations, for example, the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club, anything like that, a lot of those organizations will give small scholarships to students. Also, a couple of other places you can check. You can check studentaid.gov for scholarships. You can also check finaid.org as another source. Georgia College 411 is another source as well. For those of you in Georgia, I believe you have all created profiles on Georgia College 411 already, and you can begin to do scholarship searches on it if you have not done so already. Now, let's look at the steps to applying for financial aid. The first thing you need to do before you apply for financial aid is you need to receive an FSA ID number. You will need one, and at least one of your parents will need one. You can go to www.fsaid.ed.gov and create an FSA ID number. Once that number is created, it can be used to electronically sign the FAFSA. Now, once you've done that, you will then go to the FAFSA. In completing the FAFSA, you'll want to gather the documents that you're going to need, in particular your tax returns. Any copies of W-2s, 1099 forms, Social Security numbers, and checking and savings account information. Now please keep in mind with the FSA ID that colleges do not have a record of your FSA ID. So if you try to log in later and you're unable to do so, you can click on Forgot Your Password, you can click on Forgot Your Account Name. As long as you've linked an email address with your FSA ID number, you should be able to go through those steps and get your FSA ID username or account name, and then also your password. Only as a last resort would you create another FSA ID. Now, once you have that information in place, you'll go to fafsa.gov. Now, once you go there, you can begin to start the FAFSA form. There are different sections of the FAFSA. There's a demographic section, there's a section on income, there's a section where you list the schools that you want the information sent. Once you've completed all of that, then before you are done, you and your parent must electronically sign the FAFSA. There's a little button that you click on, or that you check, and then you have to put in your FSA ID and password. Now, one little tip. As you are filling out the FAFSA, you may have an opportunity to link your tax return information directly to the FAFSA through something called the data retrieval tool. If you use the data retrieval tool, it will make things faster if your FAFSA is selected for verification. About 25 to 30% of FAFSAs are selected for verification each year, and that just means that the financial aid office will have to gather additional information before we can make an award. If you use the data retrieval tool, it will help to make things quicker. Now, once you have completed your FAFSA form, once you have signed off on it, typically it takes about 1 to 3 days to process. Once it's processed, the schools to which you have indicated should receive your FAFSA information will receive your FAFSA information and begin to process it. At that point, they will let you know whether or not there's any additional information that you need. Oftentimes that comes electronically. At Andrew and at many other schools, once you've been accepted for admission, we will give you an email account or an email address. You will use that to log on to our student information system called Empower. There, you can check your financial aid documents. You can also check your award letter. You can also go ahead and accept your award letter or decline your award letter, or accept part of your award letter and decline part of your award letter. Do double check prior to submitting the FAFSA to make sure that everything has been filled in and completed. Now, as I mentioned before, a certain number of people are selected for verification. There are documents that the college will need to receive in order to complete that verification process. If you've not used the data retrieval tool, typically what you'll need to do is provide a copy of your tax transcripts. If both you and your parent worked and filed tax returns, we will need copies of both your tax transcript and your parent's tax transcript. And you can get those from irs.gov and do a search on transcripts. It will give you two options for transcripts. One is an account transcript and one is a return transcript. You want to make sure that you're doing the return transcript. Also at Andrew, we ask you to complete a dependent or independent verification worksheet. This will be a very short sheet you'll need to fill out with some financial information. For most students who are going to college for the first time, or between the ages of 18, 20, and 25, you will be a dependent student unless you fall into some very, very specific categories, including being on active duty military, having a dependent, being married, being a ward of the court, or being an orphan. If you have a question about whether or not you're a dependent or independent student, please contact our financial aid office or the financial aid office at other schools if you're interested in going to them instead. Now, if you did not file a tax return, and if your parents did not file a tax return, there's a non-filer tax form we will need you to fill out as well. And that will take the place of the tax transcripts. Now, what we will do, as I mentioned way back when we started, is our financial aid office will take the cost of attendance, subtract out your EFC, and then what's left over is your financial need. And we'll start to make a package that meets or exceeds that financial need. Again, please watch for communication from Andrew College about your financial aid. Log on to Empower regularly once you've been accepted and once you have an email address from the college and an account set up. That is the main way that we will contact you about financial aid information and where your award letter will be located as well. Let me say one word about dependent and independent students. I mentioned a few minutes ago some of the specific categories for a student from 18 to 25 being classified as an independent student. What does not classify a student as an independent student is simply your mom or dad saying you're 18 years old and you're on your own. Just because that does occur, and I'll tell the parents too, just because that does occur or you want them to pay for everything on their own, that does not make them an independent student. They must meet some of the criteria, at least one of the criteria, that's listed on the FAFSA form in order to do that. Now, once you have your award, you've gone on to Empower, you've clicked on your award, you've accepted it. You're almost done, but not quite. If you're packaged with a subsidized and or unsubsidized Stafford loan, you will need to log onto studentloans.gov and go through entrance, loan counseling, and sign your master promissory note. These two things must be done before we can access your funds for you and before these funds can be applied to your account. If you decide to take out a PLUS loan, that also can be done through studentloans.gov. If your parents fill out the application for the PLUS loan or accepted for the PLUS loan, receive a PLUS loan, they will need to go back onto studentloans.gov, log in, and complete the PLUS master promissory note counseling. Now, a little note here for students. Subsidized and unsubsidized Stafford, interest loan counseling, and master promissory note will be completed by you under your FSA ID number. Okay? If your parents receive a PLUS loan, the PLUS loan master promissory note must be done by the parent under their FSA ID, not the student's FSA ID. Now, where can you get more information? Well, a really good source is going to be our website, andrewcollege.edu. If you go to andrewcollege.edu, look in the financial aid section and click on the tabs, you'll find a lot of information about applying for financial aid, the FAFSA, the process, and student loans. In addition, you can go to studentaid.gov. Also, you can call 1-800-4FED-AID, F-E-D-A-I-D. You can also contact the Andrew College Financial Aid Office at 229-732-5958, or you can email us at financialaid@andrewcollege.edu. Thank you so much for attending this session today. Hopefully, I've told you a lot that's going to be beneficial for you as you go forward in the college financial aid process. Again, please be in touch with us and let us know if you have any questions or if we can be of assistance. Thank you.